Now from the Senate Budget Committee and Senate Steering Committee Chairman Rick Scott. Senator, thank you for being here. And you met with President Trump this week over these budget plans. So what more can you tell us about it? And do you have the votes, do you think, to pass it this weekend?
Absolutely. It's going to pass. And here's the deal. Here's what we're doing. We're trying to build American jobs. So how do you do that? And we're trying to get America back to work. When Trump left office in the beginning of 21, we had a great economy. The Biden administration, Democrats ruined it. So what we've got to do is we got to make permanent the Trump tax cuts. We're going to get that done. We've got to do everything we can to balance the budget. I was with the president this week a couple times. He's absolutely committed to getting to a balanced budget and stop this massive spending. In the last 5 years, during the Biden administration, we saw a 2% increase in population and a 53% increase in spending. That is causing this massive inflation and the high mortgage rates, the high credit card rates, the high interest rates on car purchases. So the president is committed, Republicans are committed to fixing this economy and stopping the damage that these Democrats have caused.
So, when you look at the overall budget plans, I mean, obviously, we've talked a lot about this as far as the messaging comes out of the White House to focus more on the things that got Donald Trump and this administration into office: deregulation, extending those tax cuts. There's still a lot of conversations, though, around that corporate tax rate. Right now, we're at 21%. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump said maybe let's bring it lower. Is that something that you still support?
We've got to do everything we can to keep reducing the tax burdens on American businesses and on Americans. When I was governor of Florida, I cut taxes and fees 100 times. I cut 20% of the regulatory environment in the state, and I streamlined the permitting environment. That's exactly what President Trump is committed to do. Put more money back into your pocket, make it easier for you to build a business, and stop government to tell you how to lead your lives. I love my mom. I did not like being told what to do. You don't need government dictated how you lead your life, how you build your company. Let us go compete. Let's go compete globally without all these American restrictions that these Democrats want to continue to hamper American businesses and Americans overall.
Well, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says that if passed, the Senate blueprint would allow twice as much additional borrowing as the House budget and double the projected debt growth over the next decade. House Budget Chair Jody Arrington, along with Greg Steube from Ways and Means, they already are slamming the plan over raising the deficit. They say it's going to be hard to get this framework past the House. What do you say to the critics on the House side? Because obviously you do need the House to get a budget deal together.
Well, first off, I was with the president. He's been talking about balancing the budget. Now, whose responsibility is it to balance the budget? It is Congress's responsibility to balance the budget. If we balance the budget, all right, then we won't have to raise the debt ceiling. That's what we need to be doing. The president's committed to it. Part of it we can do through reconciliation, and part of it we're going to do in the next budget that will hopefully we're supposed to pass by September 30. Republicans in the Senate, we are committed to having a real budget process. The Democrats won't do a budget process. They don't want to do it because they want a few people, Chuck Schumer and others, to be able to decide what we spend money on. And they don't want to control the spending. We are running $2 trillion deficits right now, $2 trillion a year. We're not going to get inflation under control. We're not going to get interest rates down until we balance the budget. We're committed to balancing the budget in the Senate. I'm very optimistic that's what we're going to get done.
We look forward to your work on that issue as well. And, the president talked a lot about his tariff plan this week, and he touted it. He says April 2nd is forever going to be remembered as the day American industry was reborn. But your Democratic colleagues are not convinced. Watch this.
The imposition of tariffs does nothing more than put a tax on American families.
It's estimated that the Trump tariff will add about $5,000 to the average family's cost.
The president is risking a recession with this national sales tax he calls tariffs. When families across the United States see what this does to the price of goods that they want to buy, it's going to create an economic force, a negative force in this country, and cost a lot of American jobs.
So the Treasury and Commerce secretaries, they say the Democrats don't understand how tariffs work.
We're setting the stage for long-term economic growth, that we were on our way to a financial crisis. So we have taken us off that trajectory, and we are putting ourselves back onto a sound trajectory.
You have to sort of understand how things work. when tariffs come into place, foreign goods may become a little more expensive, but domestic goods do not. So for the first time in your lives, you're going to actually think about the Americans who make the products, the Americans who produce these products and work in these factories. It's time for us to take care of them instead of taking care of the world.
The president says he's getting calls from every country on tariffs, but we're also hearing, obviously, that China is going to be imposing this 34% retaliatory tariff on all U.S. imports. They want to start that April 10th. I want to get your reaction to that.
Well, first off, number one, we finally have a president that cares about American jobs. I mean, all my races, when I ran for governor in 2010, I ran about one thing: how do we get more American jobs? And so I'm proud of what the president's doing. I'm glad what he's doing, because what's going to happen is we're going to get more American manufacturing jobs and rebuild this country instead of building more jobs in Vietnam or China or other places. And by the way, stop buying Chinese products and services. They want to demolish way of life. 78,000 people died of fentanyl overdose with the precursors from China. They've never complied with the trade deal. They steal everything from our companies. I mean, stop buying their stuff. They're building a military to defeat us. Stop buying anything from China. But on top of that, this is going to be great for American jobs. It's going to take a while for this big change to happen because we've allowed these countries, some of our allies, we've allowed them to take advantage of American companies, which means you're taking advantage of American workers. We're going to get more American jobs. It's going to be great for our economy overall.
Senator Rick Scott, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, Senator.
Hi, Cheryl. Nice seeing you. Bye-bye.